Hey Vikings fans, Tyler here to talk to you about Pick and Shovelware and pickandshovelware.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, all kinds of fun, different Minnesota sports clothing items and apparel options. We got a deal going with them right now where if you buy whatever you want, enter the promo code Bleeding Purple, all one word, and you will get free shipping. That is promo code Bleeding Purple, pickandshovelware.com. Make sure you go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's start the show. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig, and I am joined by the almost father, Adam Patrick. Hello, good sir. How are you?
Good. Just enjoying my last few days of being alone in this world.
Yeah. Yep.
Of not being responsible.
Yeah, but here are some things that you get that people don't talk about is patience. I have more patience now.
Oh, I already have patience.
Than I ever thought. That is correct because I've seen you on Twitter. I've seen the way you respond. A lot of patience.
That's different though.
A little bit different.
That's more fun.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah. Twitter was fun last night for a hot minute there after the Vikings win. Oh, by the way, it's a Vikings podcast. The Vikings won.
After they got was it onside kick that they got? Did they get an onside?
Did they wind up with the onside kick? I just remember there was a punt and they muffed the punt and we got the ball and I was like, woo! That was that.
I don't even remember if there was an onside kick.
There was an onside kick attempted. I don't remember though. I can't remember. Interesting.
We're good. Good thing we're covering the Vikings.
Let's talk a little bit more about the stuff that we did watch.
Yeah.
And the rest of the game. But the Vikings win 24-17. I cannot believe that neither of us predicted that score. I looked back to see if we did. Neither of us went with 24-17, which...
Yeah, because that's pretty generic.
Yeah, super generic. And usually my pick, is it not? Like, when did I stop doing the 24-17 every week? I don't remember, but this would have been a good week to pick it. The Vikings were, I don't want to say in control, but they were looking pretty good at times. They were looking pretty mediocre at times. Kirk Cousins, of course, finishes the game with his impressive stat line, which is like almost kind of yawn-worthy at this point. But biggest thing, no turnovers. He did not turn the ball over. That was the biggest thing. He finished with 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the defense looked really good also. I think that is cannot be understated how good.
Held Rodgers under 200 yards.
Under 200 yards, which is very impressive. And now the Vikings have not lost to the Green Bay Packers in a very, very long time. It was like 700 days or something. I retweeted it. I was going to write it down, and I can't.
2016, because it was on the road. Is when Bradford was there.
Oh, Bradford.
But they didn't lose last year at all, and they haven't lost this year. So it's been a while.
Because ties don't count as losses.
Right. Sure they don't count as wins either. But
they don't. But
there was an onside kick, by the way.
There was. Good to know.
Kyle Rudolph recovered it.
Oh yes, that's right. I knew that. I was watching. It turns out I was watching for that.
He didn't get any yards after the catch. Surprise.
No, he just fell right down, which is, you're used to seeing that. Shots fired early.
Yeah.
So Cousins finishes with a really pretty stat line. The offense looked, pretty good at times, but it looked
after the first two drives. Yeah.
yeah, there were. What did you think? What was your, I guess, your big take on the offense as a whole? Because we've done a lot of talking about the play calling and offensive coordinating, et cetera, et cetera. What was your take from?
I've seen a lot of people say how it was more balanced last night, but I don't really think it really was because they didn't. They like, it's you look at this box score and it says that they ran a lot and they ran a lot more, but that was more like in the fourth quarter on their last couple drives when they're up and they're trying to run the clock out. Otherwise, they were still pretty pass happy. After the first quarter, I think they got in their scripted plays, run so many times, pass so many times, and then after that, it was just back to, pass, pass, pass. I mean, it works this game because the Packers defense is horrible, and especially their secondary.
You're taking all of my everything I was going to say.
And so
about this.
Thielen and Diggs, had the time of their life, just going all over these guys, and Dalvin Cook shredding the pieces too. It was nice to see him get more involved in the receiving game.
It was.
Even if he's not going, running the ball or whatever, because they're running him into the middle of the line. Mm-hmm. Just getting him out in space and getting the ball, because there was a couple of times where he got the ball and it's like, oh, it's going to be like a 1 yard gain, and then he broke like 9 tackles and got a first down.
There were glimpses of how good Dalvin Cook can be, and the way that everybody talks about him, and you kind of forget because he's been out for so long and hasn't looked like that. But man, there were a couple of plays last night where it was like, oh yes, that's right, Dalvin Cook is a very explosive player, and I think you nailed all of the points that I was going to bring up. But you don't have to run the ball, but you have to be able to disperse the ball amongst your receivers, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they were doing that. They were doing it early. The first quarter was beautiful, from like a run, pass, screen. There was a screen in the first quarter, Adam. We haven't seen that, and it feels like forever, or at least a successful one. Elfline was out in space, which is what
that screen to Diggs was not successful.
No, it was not. And you're right. And they kind of regress as the game goes on, and they I feel like what's happening is the people who are calling the plays, the one guy who's calling the plays, is acknowledging that his best players are those two wide receivers and his quarterback, which is understandable because those are your best players. But unless you get the offense, the rushing offense, to work, those guys can't do it on their own. And they will lose games where Cousins throws 50 times and the only offense they have is the running game. And they look like they're always trying to do that.
Yeah, I don't even know if you have to get the running game so-called going or whatever. I feel like you have to just make sure you run a certain amount of times, because especially with the Vikings and especially with Kirk Cousins and how successful he is with play action, just having the threat of them handing the ball off is enough to throw off a defense.
It was so apparent on that first drive.
Oh, yeah.
That just running the ball on those, 3 plays in a row on the first drive or whatever it was, did so much for their play action in the next 2 drives in the first quarter in general. It drives me crazy because it seems so obvious to do these little things that will allow you to be successful later on in the game. Why do you think they cannot stick to that?
I know we ask for D. Filippo to be more creative. And then sometimes I feel like he tries too hard to be too creative. There's ways to be creative and simple at the same time, just the jet sweeps and stuff like that. But then the screen passes to receivers and to a reverse to a pass or whatever, some of these crazy plays.
You can overcomplicate a screen pass. You can. It's very possible. And I feel like he does that on occasion. And when all you need to do is just run a normal give it to your running back in the flat and let him go to town. Here's my hot take theory. Coming off of Chicago, Zimmer talked about how maybe the offense had too much, as in volume. Stick with me now. I think what was happening was the receivers and quarterback, they were running a lot of options. They had options based on coverages. I think they had too many options. I think they were reading them incorrectly. I think that's why some of those throws in Chicago looked so bad. It was because they were reading different things and not on the same page.
Yeah, just run one rep. They've only played 11 games together. They're not obviously not at the point yet where they know what each other's thinking. That probably won't happen until the middle of next year, if that.
Yeah.
So
And I like
that's
Diggs and
just run,
Thielen.
run, yeah,
I get it, but you got Treadwell trying to read what
and
route he's supposed to. Are
Rudolph.
you bonkers? Like, come
And
on.
even what Aldrick Robinson last night, he obviously that was like the first or second drive where he miscommunicated with
Yes.
what Cousins was thinking. And yeah, I think they simplified some of the playbook. They obviously just decided to rip all the pages out that had Treadwell's name on them out of the playbook
He
because
still managed to have a drop though.
just
It's
why?
crazy.
What is the point of him being on the field? Like I think Cousins finally figured out. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna like throw it more to Rudolph because at least he can catch the ball. So he might not, gain that many yards after the catch, which Treadwell doesn't either. But at least he's gonna catch the ball.
I just don't. I feel so bad for dude now. I mean, now there's a reason that he's in there because BB with the hamstring and blah blah blah. So they don't really have like. I mean, Robin, that whatever. There's not a viable option in that same prototype. Like he fits
Yeah.
that mold the way they want it. So like I get that part of it, but like, oh, the guy cannot catch the ball, and like it's sad, and I feel bad, but you got to get him off the field. You can't catch.
Well,
the ball.
yeah, you got to be ecstatic if you're a defender covering him because
Yes.
even if he gets open, he's probably not going to get the ball. And then even if he does get the ball thrown to him, he's probably not going to catch it.
This is like reminds me of running the ball on fourth down when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. As a defense, who are you more afraid of? Whether you
Yeah.
know it's coming or not, you're more afraid of Aaron Rodgers. Why would you take the ball out of his hands and run it? I mean, great play by who was it? Harrison Smith cutting down
Yeah.
the line and taking whatever. And it was a huge, huge, huge play in the game.
Yeah.
But
Well, running straight at Linval Joseph is always the best idea you can have.
yeah. So real quick on the as we like wrap up the Packers game, what do you make of that team? / is McCarthy going to survive this season? There's no way he's the coach next year, right?
Unless they win the rest of their games.
God Almighty,
Uh,
that ain't happening.
Now they have to play. I think they have to play the Bears on the road still, and some other team. It's tough, but I can't remember.
Their schedule is definitely like weaker, obviously, than the Vikings. But
Yeah, they still have 2 road games. I feel like, and they're not gonna
win on
do
the road.
no. So I think no, never mind. But yeah, I don't think he sticks around. It looks like Rodgers is just pretty much fed up with him, and Collinsworth was trying to defend him last night. One of the dumb things he said last night, saying how he has 10 wins, like so many seasons of 10 wins, and how can he be on the hot seat? And it's like, why do you think he has 10 wins? Like, it's not because of his great play calling.
Yeah.
It's because that guy under center.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty obvious when you watch them now that he did so much to hide their bad play, I guess. And just because you can tell that he's not as mobile as he normally is, and maybe that's like
He's
getting
still
old or
hurt.
whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, he's still amazing and he's still scrambled really well. But you could tell there wasn't that like next year get out of this and
No, it
throw
wasn't
it a
like
million miles down the field.
Crazy like Russell Wilson escapability like he used to probably have a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, his receivers didn't really help him out last night either. Devontae Adams dropping that wide open TD pass. I saw some people blame that on Rodgers, but I'm like, nah, he put the ball where it should have been. So
And
what do you?
he did the dive thing instead of the keep running deal, which I feel like at
Yeah.
times guys can pick the wrong one.
But he's better than Thielen, so.
I mean, I don't think so. But let's talk about the big.
He's more athletic than Thielen.
Yeah, I would agree with. Let's talk about the big. We haven't touched on it yet, but the big story coming out of the game at the end of the game, Xavier Rhodes gets beat, grabs his hamstring. Twitter doctor seems to think it's season-ending surgery. Mike Zimmer gave his press conference today and was like, "Nah."
There were a couple of Twitter doctors that were saying like, "Oh, I just saw Rhodes' hamstring break in half. Never seen that before." And then he was still able to limp off the field by himself. He was still able to leave the locker room by himself.
He was walking off the field, it looked like a cramp. He had a cramp.
Yeah, he wasn't wheeled out in a wheelchair or didn't need crutches leaving the building last night. Mike Zimmer came out and said today that, yeah, it's a very, very mild injury. I don't know what his status is for Sunday, but at the same time, I don't think it should be that big of a problem if he has to miss a game or two. The Vikings' defensive depth has played very well this year. And the Patriots, they don't have an amazing group of receivers. They have some dangerous weapons on offense, but it's not like if you don't have Rhodes out there, then, you're doomed. You don't.
I've been hearing this argument like a fair amount today is like oh man, and now Tom Brady is like Tom Brady would have done that whether Xavier Rhodes was on the field or not.
Tom Brady's not playing that well this year.
And I just don't if that secondary is going to get torn apart, it's not going to be because Xavier Rhodes was like not there to save the day,
Yeah. And the Vikings held, I believe, Drew Brees to 120 yards passing a couple weeks ago without Rhodes on the field.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I think they're more than capable, and for the rest of the season, really, they're not playing anyone who has like a group of receivers that are game breaking. I mean, the Seahawks, they have Doug Baldwin, but he's not as good as he used to be. The Dolphins don't have anybody. The Lions don't. They traded away Golden Tate, and the Bears don't have anybody. So,
yeah. Who was that Galladay kid or whatever in Detroit?
Yeah, he's pretty good, but
I mean, you're not gonna.
Trey Waynes can cover him.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna say. They have the players.
Secretly having a very good year, by the way, Trey Waynes.
He is. I would agree with that completely. And I also think that Xavier Rhodes, whether it's injuries or otherwise, not having as great of a season, which, happens because you can't, very few players play at an all-pro level for 6 years in a row or whatever. So it's
Harrison Smith.
But a dip is not crazy.
Oh, yeah. No,
this isn't the end of the world. He's still a very, very good player. Yeah.
He's been hurt a lot this year too, and some of his lack of success has been more towards the beginning of the season. You could say that about a lot of the players on the Vikings defense earlier in the season. So,
speaking of players on the Vikings defense out with injury, Barr came back. Did you notice what? They look pretty good, but would they have looked that good with not Barr out there? Probably. I think. We don't talk about it a lot, and I don't hear it talked about a lot. But the key to the success for this football team, especially defensively, is that defensive line. When they can rush four guys and get pressure the way they got pressure yesterday and then drop all those, that's really difficult to play.
Like Danielle Hunter, there was that play where Bakhtiari went out for the Packers, and immediately Danielle Hunter just destroyed their backup left tackle. He didn't get the sack, but he just led the charge of all the guys.
That may have been the most inevitable sack in the history of NFL football.
Everyone called it. Even the Packers were like, all right, well, whatever. But
that was great because even Collinsworth was like, oh god.
I saw someone last night about saying how Everson Griffin could be like a cap casualty next year, and I'm just like, I don't think that would be the greatest idea because how good was this pass rush when he was out earlier this year? It really wasn't as good.
It was not.
I think even if he might not be, getting the sacks or pressures that he, used to, his presence on the field is more than enough for other guys on that defensive line to get free. Like Sheldon Richardson's been playing out of his mind since Griffin's been back. Danielle Hunter's just been playing out of his mind the whole year, and even guys like Stephen Weatherly has been playing well. So. And Tom Johnson too, all those guys but I think that core four is really what drives, the success of the defense. They're able to do a lot more stuff on defense. They feel like the Vikings showed a lot of blitz last night, but they didn't really blitz a lot because they were getting so much pressure from the defensive line. So yeah, it definitely runs through that defensive line. So for sure. So they need those guys to stay healthy.
I don't really know how to transition into this, but kicker dude missed 2 again. And what are we to do about kickers in general? Mike
Calm
Zimmer,
down.
Mike
Calm
Zimmer
down.
at halftime decided he was never going to kick another field goal again in his whole life.
Made
He was
all
gonna
his
go
other,
for it
made all his other kicks.
one
Those
other
were
kick, or do you have
those were
an
long
extra
kicks.
point?
He made that first one. He made the 51-yarder.
He did. It should be noted that yes, he made the 51-yarder, and that false start was garbage. And then
That was on like everybody. That was on the Packers and the Vikings, if I remember. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. Zimmer actually said he's really not worried about it. He has like still a ton of confidence in Bailey, so I think that's a very good sign if Zimmer's the guy being like, he's fine. He's good. He makes every kick in practice, so there shouldn't be.
That also is starting to like really great. Like, well, he makes them all in practice. Does he? Did the other guy too? Because are we starting to learn that maybe kicking in a stadium full of people when the pressure's on is a little different than kicking in practice when he makes them all? I could make a lot in practice.
I did have the feelings of nervousness again last night when the kicker lined up for a field goal, and I'm like, God, why can't I ever just not
worry about it? Can't I just like take 3 points and be like, nice? Drive football team, well done.
I tweeted out something last night that said like Adam Vinatieri would miss field goal kicks in a Vikings uniform, so it's pretty much just the uniform at this point.
I truly believe that.
Because Daniel Carlson got special teams player of the week last week.
Yep, hit a game winner. He's like 7 of 8 since he's been in Oakland.
Yeah.
Although not as many pressure situations.
Game winning.
I mean, he did. He made it. I can't argue with it. Why couldn't he do that when we needed him to think about this, Adam. If he doesn't do that, they beat that Packers team in Green Bay, and think about where they would be. They'd only be
7-3,
and they'd be definitely a click above the rest of the muck in the NFC playoff standings, which we'll talk about a little bit.
Also, later. the Buffalo loss, not starting to look that bad anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
They've got 4 wins.
It's true. Yeah, every week it looks better. 6. Oh, you know what else I saw that's real fun is the Packers and the Browns have the same amount of wins. Wonderful.
Browns are playing good.
Yeah, I like Baker Mayfield.
Got rid of Hugh and surprise, everything's better. No one could have predicted that.
Did you see? How do you feel about Hugh gets
They
fired?
trolled Get out of him yesterday.
So he gets fired and then accepts a job in Cincinnati, and that's who Cleveland was playing. But they if you're playing for Cleveland, are you bummed that he goes to Cincinnati, a team you play twice a year?
You would
just whatever.
Wouldn't you want that?
That's what.
If you think he's a horrible coach, wouldn't you want him to be?
That is exactly my angle. Baker Mayfield's on doing his press conference. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's you would. Yeah.
Dude, you just scored 50 points on the Bengals.
That would be like me rooting for McCarthy to
go to the
lose
Bears.
His job. No, I want him to keep his job. That's the thing I want. This is great for us right now.
Yeah.
I hope this continues forever.
Lose his job and then take over the Lions.
God, that sounds wonderful. Can that happen? Well, they won't fire Patricia after 1 year, though.
They wouldn't have to get any different size clothes, so that's good at least.
Yeah, they could swap the locker out, no problem. So kickers are scary. We talked a little bit about DiFilippo and the offensive coordinator and
for
all
that
stuff, but what?
Okay, is it time to kind of think about Prefer?
I think it is.
There's
what other move do you have?
All these kickers keep coming in and keep missing.
Yes, there has been one constant.
Still there.
Yes. And here's the thing that is maybe bothers me the most is not that he still has a job. I'm not saying that we should fire the dude. Why isn't anyone talking about it?
Yeah,
it's been so long since we've had a field goal kicker that is not a heart attack. Why is nobody discussing it?
I feel like Cordero Patterson probably gave him a couple more years with his job.
That's true. Marcus Sherrills probably helps a lot.
Yeah, he had a nice return last night.
Mm-hmm. And that's all he does, and that's all he's done for all these years is he just catches it, runs it a little bit.
He's going to be on the Vikings for 19 years.
I'm saying Ring of Honor for that guy.
Just clutch.
Clutch. All he does. That's all he does.
He came up with the fumble, right?
He
The
did.
muff,
Of course he did.
on the muff kick.
Of course he did. Of course he did. He's a special teams wizard, man. That's what they do. You know who else was that for a hot minute? Adam Thielen. You know what he did? Scored a touchdown, blocked a punt. That's what
Yeah.
they do. Special teams
Well,
guys.
yeah. But Marcus Sherrill's on offense. He'll catch 93 passes. So.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not sure if you've seen that on Twitter, but I have.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, the kickers are. I don't know what to do, and I think it is time that we talk about prefer. I think that that's the only logical. What is the definition of insanity? Is to like keep bringing
because
kickers, assuming
I
something's gonna be different.
I understand kickers missing and stuff. They deserve a certain amount of the blame, but if guys keep coming in and missing kicks who didn't previously miss a lot of kicks,
Yes.
there's got to be something going on there. That's
If you're the owner of a store and your manager has a ton of different employees that come through, and the store is still struggling,
yeah.
you fire the manager.
Yep.
I think it's time to maybe fire the manager. Not calling for anybody's job.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it needs to be looked at. That's all.
Just want to talk about it.
Evaluated. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move. Maybe, give George Edwards an actual job on the sidelines instead of being a fake defensive coordinator.
That's got to be the best gig in the world. It's like, that's a pretty cool resume here, but where were you? Yeah, it's number one defense year after year after year.
Did you call any of the plays? Nope. Did you pick anyone for the depth chart? Nope.
Did you have anything to do with the scheme or game
plan? I got Zimmer's coffee every day.
Yeah,
so.
Sometimes I would suggest things that he would say no to. What a gig.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit while we already kind of did the offensive coordinator thing. I'm still very skeptical on it.
Yeah. No, you should be.
I think, this team is so easily one-dimensional. And when they get one-dimensional, you can win against Green Bay. But if you're playing a New Orleans, if you're playing the Rams, if you're going
against a team where obviously they have a weak part of their offense that is their passing defense, obviously you want to attack that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you can still attack that by doing some play action, which is established by the run.
Yeah,
I'm starting to think though that the Vikings were kind of spoiled last year with what Shurmur did because he called some pretty amazing games. Not having that much luck with the Giants this year, but that's a different story. Doesn't really have a quarterback. But yeah, he called some great plays last year. Got guys, use the best of their abilities and got Thielen the ball and just ran. I think they ran the ball the second most of any team last year. So
he made a very mediocre offensive line almost a non-issue for that team, which is incredible, and maybe the highest compliment you can give a play caller is that by far our biggest weakness was almost not an issue for the majority of the season, which is obscene. I also think that because of all these years of Adrian Peterson and where you have to run the ball because he's your best player, I think that also is kind of skewing people's opinion of it, and maybe skewing mine. But I feel like I get it. Diggs, Thielen, they're good, but you have to be able to distribute the ball.
Well, it doesn't look like
good teams.
Doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to beat the Vikings in the playoffs this year anymore. So,
what a turd. Also,
or discipline the Vikings.
Oh, whoa!
Sorry,
that's pretty good. NFC East, I've been talking a lot of smack about that division, but now I'm looking at the playoff standings, and they're gonna have two teams in there because of Washington and division leading. Who's leading the division now?
6-5.
I'm just saying that, but nobody else everybody.
And they have and they lost their quarterback.
Cole McCoy looks pretty good, dude.
They're gonna get in over the Panthers. Or over the Seahawks.
Who do you think makes the playoffs in the end? I know we've kind of gone through this a couple of times, but do you think Seattle, Carolina are still...
Seattle has a very easy schedule remaining. They play the 49ers twice, Cardinals once.
Awesome.
Four of their 5 are at home. So they're probably in the playoffs.
Got to think they're in.
The Panthers starting to look iffy. They got to play the Saints twice. I don't think the Falcons are in it anymore.
No, I don't think so either.
Too far.
Yeah.
The Eagles are still in it. I don't know how.
Unbelievable. And that
Cowboys are playing better. But I would probably go with the Saints, Rams, Bears, Vikings, Seahawks. I guess Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right, unfortunately, because I want to argue with you, but I think you're totally right. I could see Carolina winning some of those games, like beating New Orleans once, and sneaking in or whatever. And
They want.
I don't
They
want
want
to
to
play
knock
them.
out. They want to knock out Drew Brees. Go right for. Go
Sounds
ahead.
great.
Go for it.
So do you think likeliest like playoff seed for the Vikings is going to be wild card? I don't think there's any way they leap the Bears at this point, especially after the Bears didn't have their quarterback and somehow still won in Detroit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what does that say about Mitchell Trubisky, by the way?
Yeah.
How good he is. Chase Daniel didn't look that bad.
Think about that statement just then. Chase Daniel didn't look that bad.
I don't know. I'm still not sold on the Bears because I didn't think they looked that good against the Vikings. The Vikings had plenty of opportunities to win that game. They had 3 turnovers.
Yes.
So I'm not counting the Vikings out of the division hunt yet. There's still 5 games left, and they're a game and a half behind. So they can still make that up easily. They have to win these next 2 games because the rest of the schedule is easy, and then it might come down to that final game of the year and probably be on Sunday night. So.
That would be a really exciting game. Do you think there's any way the Vikings win these next 2 games?
Yeah,
I think
Patriots. This is a good year to play the Patriots.
That is very true. I will give you.
They're very beatable. The Seahawks. They're playing better than people thought, but they're beatable too. They gave up a lot of yards to the Panthers yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that was a fun game to watch, but it looked like teams that I think both of those teams, the Vikings can beat both of those teams.
Yeah, this isn't. It's not going to be like it's not the Seahawks of old. It's not the Patriots of old. So
yeah, timing wise, I think. Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Patriots and the upcoming game. I think timing wise, this is about as. I guess earlier maybe it would be a little bit better because the Patriots always get going. But this is like the time of the year when they do this because they start playing their divisional games and they start beating up on their horrible divisional opponents. And then you play them in week 15 and you're donezo because they got everything rolling.
Yeah. They're undefeated at home this year.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are lucky in that sense, but it's going to be hard to go there and win a football game.
Oh, yeah. It's a hard place to play. I think in December the Patriots have lost like 1 game since like 2011.
That's disgusting. That's so outrageous.
They've also had a lot better teams than they do this year. Like their pass defense, I think their pass defense is like 25th in the league. So they've given up 22 touchdowns, which is not good when you're going against Kirk Cousins and Thielen and Diggs. Mm-hmm. So that's an advantage for the Vikings for sure. Their rush defense isn't really that much better either. And the Vikings defense has been good against the last couple of games and shutting down quarterbacks and receivers. I feel like the Vikings defense, like the first couple drives of the game, they kind of like let the offense do whatever they have to do and think that they can do certain things, and then like a flip of the switch and they just shut everything down. I feel like it's been going on.
Yeah, or one adjustment or something. But it looked pretty abrupt when they figured out how to stop whatever it was they were doing. And that's the thing. Everything I hear about Tom Brady every year is that the way to get to Tom Brady and the way to affect him is to rush at him from the middle. Well, the Vikings happen to do that at times.
Everyone's healthy.
Make it look like they're going to do that. And if they can get pressure from their front four, like we discussed earlier, I think they could win the game.
Yeah. The one thing that bothers me is that I think James White, the running back, is their top receiver. Mm-hmm. Vikings haven't been that great against covering good running backs who can catch. And then Gronkowski's back too, so someone's going to have to cover him. I don't know if like Jaron Kearse will be on him or somebody like that, or Harrison Smith even. So
let's talk for a second about J-Ron Curse. What do you think? I have
He
been
made some plays last night.
very impressed with him the last couple of games.
He's had a good year.
I was very on the fence with him. He was like my biggest question mark when all the injuries were happening and I knew he was going to have to play. I was very unsure about him. He has proven me wrong, man. He looks so good. He can come and hang out and play defense.
No, he's definitely.
I think he's been awesome.
He's definitely progressed. He's found a role like on the Vikings defense. He's not in there every down, but he gets in there and makes the most of his opportunities. I think he had that nice pass breakup or whatever on Jimmy Graham last night.
Yep.
Anthony Harris has looked good this year. Sendejo, don't miss you. Did you see that? What was that play where the Packers ran the ball last night and Anthony Harris just like dove on top of the pile for like no reason?
Yes, I did see that. It was like totally like almost like limbo,
yeah, it was like
the limbo celebration.
And then he was like, "Ooh."
Dude, we haven't even talked about the limbo celebration. Stop everything.
That's pretty good.
Where do you rank it?
Right behind the dead arm dance, probably.
Really? Because dead arm dance is that? I like
dead arm dance. It's just so stupid. Because it's just so stupid.
It's so awesome.
And Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Anybody else, it's not the same. But with Kirk Cousins, it's that much better.
Yeah.
Do you put it on the same level or higher level than the Duck Duck Grey Duck dance?
I think it's same level, like that kind of elite level, that and leapfrog or whatever they did last year.
No, leapfrog's not on that level.
What?
Nope, that's a tier down. That's a tier.
What about what they have? Or they did the Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving last year. That was good.
That one. They had another one that we're missing that I can't. It was just as good as the Duck Duck Grey Duck. But yeah, I thought Limbo was great. Conspiracy theory, real quick. Immediately after the Limbo, going to commercial, NBC, they got the Limbo music on. Conspiracy theory.
Oh, somebody knew.
They knew.
I don't know. They're pretty.
First touchdown, we're doing the Limbo.
Internet's work pretty good, pretty quick these days. So
I mean, you're right, and it's US Bank Stadium, and that internet's is super fast. So
NBC pays a lot of money for that football, so they're probably going to make sure they have a soundtrack for everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of windows in there too, so I think that helps the internet speed.
Oh yeah, probably
no walls to pass through. So yeah, I mean it's science really that they got it there. But
Diggs had his Namaste celebration.
I like that one.
Liked it. It was original.
Original. And I'm starting to, as the group celebrations are becoming more and more popular, I'm starting to lean single dude celebration.
I'm glad the Vikings haven't picked up on the trend of every time a team gets a turnover, they have to run all the way to the end zone and take a group picture with everybody.
Dude, this just in, group photo is over.
Yeah.
It's over. It was funny for a little bit. It's over.
Unless everyone touches the ball. We don't need, 19 guys in the end zone posing for a fake picture.
And for a second, that was the funny part, that everybody was down there. And now it's just oh, you guys are the fourth team that has everybody running down. It's
fourth?
Over. It's over. Well, yeah,
it was
26? It was over at fourth, and it's been going for way too long. But yeah, I would agree. Limbo, I'll just say it. I think Limbo is number one. I think Duck Duck Grey Ducks too. I really, really like the Limbo. I thought it was
any recency bias?
I mean, maybe a little, but let me break it down for you. Number one, human prop.
Yeah,
can't go wrong there.
Use it all pro prop.
Yep. Thing number two, Duck Duck Grey Duck didn't play the game accurately. That's not how you play the game. I forget who went second, but they screwed it all up. That's not how the game works. Limbo. Perfectly executed. There were two different participants in the Limbo line. Maybe three, but I couldn't tell because of the camera. So these are all reasons, Adam, that it's number one in my list of celebrations.
I felt like it took a long time, to set up, Cook was telling everybody, hey, I want to do this, and everyone's looking at each other who's gonna be the Limbo?
Well,
Thielen's probably just I'll do it.
That was exactly what happened. I saw or heard an interview with Thielen.
Oh, yeah.
He said that, after the game? Yeah, Diggs was supposed to do it because he was the skinniest dude. But
when he weighs 9 pounds less than Thielen.
Is that true? Because he's skinny. Those two are best friends, and it makes me so happy. But okay.
They were in like matching hats yesterday, backwards and everything,
I
just like
mean,
holding hands down the tunnel.
I feel like every time that they're in the same like area together, there should just be that best friend song. Let me tell you about my
Like
best
From
friend.
Robin
Yeah,
Biggs,
yes, that's exactly it. The theme song from
who
that should
were
just be
who
playing all the time.
who were fake best friends.
Yeah, they were.
Spoiler alert for
Yeah,
anyone who.
dude, why you gotta ruin the show for everybody? Come on.
It's all fake.
Because it ruined it for me when I found that out. It
Wait till
broke
you hear
my
about
heart.
Santa Claus.
Oh,
Too soon. Too soon.
yeah, dude. Conversation over. I mean, I guess we can keep doing the podcast for a minute, but what were we talking about? Oh, that should be our new segment. Is the we should judge?
Celebration evaluation.
Yeah,
Or
judge
celebration
the.
evaluation.
And the name just see. This is what I'm talking about. That's organic, Adam. That's how good bits happen. Is
Yeah,
it just like that? That's good. So yeah, Patriots. They're 8-3. They're not the Patriots that we're used to seeing, but they're still pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. They're playing at home. It's a later afternoon game. It's on the road.
Does this kind of feel like one of those like litmus test games where it's going to kind of tell us where the Vikings are at? Because if they can go in there and control the game, and I'm not saying they're going to win easily, but like have a game where they're up
I'd say yes and no
scores for the
because
majority.
yeah, if they go in and win, it's a big win.
Mm-hmm.
But if they lose, it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's an AFC opponent. They still have 6 wins. They're still set up pretty well for getting into the playoffs. So,
do you feel like the last 2 weeks, it's been talked about like that these are must-win games for the Vikings? I'm not sure I felt like that.
I think
for
last
either.
night was.
You think it was? I see because
If they lost,
say they lose though,
yeah.
you still have another game against Chicago. Chicago still has 1 or 2 tough games. I mean, you're not out of it, and especially in the wild card where literally everybody is 6-5.
Yeah.
You could still make it into the playoffs.
But at this time of year, you want to get on a run.
Yeah,
that's how you go on a run in the playoffs. You just go into the postseason on a good streak, on a run, playing well. That's kind of how I felt they were last year, and then they ran into a wall known as the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely felt. I agree with you because it definitely felt leading up to the game that the Packers were going one way and the Vikings were going another. So to lose that game, I think could have been catastrophic. But I just don't. The must-win thing when there's a ton of games left, and I don't know.
Yeah, week 1 must win.
That's it. I mean, we're not that far from it being like, I know week 3 is early, but is this a must win? Because if you go 0-3, you don't make the playoff. Like, come on.
Apparently, the Bills game was a must win.
Yeah, it was. Now we know that. See, I like that. I like going in like 6 weeks from now. We can go back and be like, that was a must win.
I still think it's going to come back to haunt them.
The Bills game, of course it will. Of course it will.
They'll finish like a half game behind the Bears for the division.
That tie, I still think the tie is going to be is going to be the reason they can't do it. And then the kicker. I mean, we could go on for days with this, but yeah, I don't know. The Patriots. I feel like they could beat the Patriots, but I just cannot.
I did play around with the playoff machine or whatever on ESPN today, and got the Vikings to the number 1 seed. So,
did they win all of their games?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Saints and Rams lost
all of their games.
All of them. But I did get the Bucks, Giants, and Lions into the playoffs too.
Okay.
With that scenario.
The Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks are still in it somehow. Lions are still in it.
NFL this season is so dumb. There are
The
so
Giants,
many teams that
Giants are still in it.
have written out. The Giants are a great example. I thought at the beginning of this season, I thought Philadelphia was real good and the Giants were real bad, and they are basically like operating at the same level right now. And I mean, there's a lot to do with that on both sides, but
I mean, the Giants only have 3 wins. They're not that good, but yeah, they're making me yawn. That's how good they are.
Yeah, dude, God, like get excited about the podcast, bud. Jeez.
All these teams would basically that I did in the scenario would basically have to win like every single one of their remaining games.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 1 seed probably not going to happen for the Vikings, but getting a 3 or 4 seed is definitely still a possibility.
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel like this team has Super Bowl? Is this a Super Bowl capable team? I don't want to say contender because that feels crazy. I don't know if contender is the right word, but
I don't think so anymore.
I don't
Not,
really
not
either.
this,
Here's
not
how
this
I've
season.
been optimistically. Here's how I've been looking at it.
Would I like to be proven wrong? Yeah, that would
100%.
be.
Well, yeah. I feel like if the Vikings get in and they win one game, if they can win that first playoff game, then I think they got a chance. But obviously, the most
If they
likely
win and they
thing
play
is-
the Rams next, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Well, I mean,
See,
yeah.
I think their best hope would be for like the Saints to get upset by like the Panthers or somebody
yeah.
in the playoffs, and then that would probably be their best shot.
Although it's not out of the realm.
But they
of
played well. Yeah, they
possibility.
played well against the Saints, but on the road against the Saints is
No,
way.
that one I don't think they can win. I think they can go to L.A. and
Oh,
beat
yeah.
the Rams. I think that is plausible. So if they can win the first one, go to L.A. That I think is doable. But see, here's the problem: is that when they play good teams, they turn one-dimensional, and with the offensive line, what it is, they're donezo. When you face a really good,
Well, yeah, you would like to think by then, though, if they're playing well, then they figured out a way to make the offensive line not that much of a factor.
you'd hope
And
so.
with the Rams, they won't have Cooper Kupp. Their defense is not that great, even though they paid a bunch of money. Aaron Donald is a beast, but
Yeah, he is. It's true.
like Khalil Mack, you just got to find a way to avoid him, which the Vikings didn't for some reason. But no,
A lot more tape on Goff. That will help
yeah,
Zimmer.
yeah, I've jumped off the boat for a Super Bowl this year for the Vikings. I wrote about it last week, and just the thing that got me like jumping off or whatever is like their next game that they have on the schedule against the Dolphins or against the Lions. No one would be surprised if they lost those games.
Yeah,
And if you're a Super Bowl contender, you don't lose those games.
you don't do that. Yep.
So that's kind of my
Yeah, it would
supporting factor or whatever.
Yeah, it would take like a who did like a Joe Flacco like that
Yeah, I mean,
one
you
year
can-
where he just went bananas for all those games and like it would take
It's-
something like that I think for
It's
them to get to a
it's
Super Bowl. And I don't
it's
see it happening.
it's really actually really simple to see like who the teams are that are going to qualify for the Super Bowl every year. They're always the teams that are just they win the games they're supposed to, and then they play well on the road, and give themselves a shot to win or whatever, and they go on long streaks.
Yeah.
And that's what the Vikings did last year. And
The
it's,
close games go on
it's,
streaks.
it's not the case this year. They're winning the games that they're supposed to, but they need to get important wins. They need to beat a team with a winning record. First off, they haven't done that this year yet.
Yes.
So beating New England would be a start. If they beat New England and they beat the Seahawks, you're going to get me to probably want to climb back on that bandwagon.
Yeah. You're right. If they win the these next two games, then that kind of changes things. But I think
And then they lose to the Dolphins.
yeah, exactly. And that, and that's what I'm saying is they just have not been consistent enough. And in the grand scheme of things, and I think this was part of the problem because last year they were so good and that was such a fun season. Anything less than a Super Bowl appearance this year is going to be deemed a failure by a lot of people, I think. And I don't even believe that to be the case. This is going to be like a pretty successful season if they can get to the playoffs. If they win a game in the playoffs, I feel like it's a successful season.
Yeah. I think the circumstances they've dealt with, too, I think people forget to factor that in, too. You had the death of Tony Sperano. You lost Nick Easton before the season even started. You got a new quarterback and a new system. So and the defense wasn't playing that great at the beginning of the year.
Offensive coordinator hasn't called plays in like 6 years or some ridiculous thing, whatever that is.
So what there were, that's why I just laugh at the people who say like Zimmer should be fired or whatever, because they just don't factor in everything that he's dealt with pretty much every single year.
Every season he's been here.
He's been there. Yeah, the Peterson suspension, the Bridgewater's knee falling off, trading for Bradford. Bradford going down last year, and Keenum.
Yeah.
Norv Turner quitting. All this.
Yeah, dude.
crazy stuff.
The year they win the Super Bowl is just
It's gonna be the
normal.
most boring.
When nothing really happens. We're gonna hate it. We're not gonna have anything to talk about except for the Super Bowl win. I'll take it.
That's never gonna happen. So.
How with that kind of an attitude, it's not Adam.
That's just not the way the Vikings are.
It's true. You're
like
right.
Other teams get injuries and stuff every year, and then the Vikings just get like random weird stuff that just takes a huge
non-football related issues.
It's like, oh, cool, great.
And then the kicker.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to do about that. The ink from the jersey just like seeps into their blood and into their brain.
Like honestly, maybe it's the lighting with the purple on the helmet. Maybe
they missed him when they were outside too, in TCF. So
I just don't.
What's Gary Anderson's excuse then?
No, I'm saying the purple from the helmet. There's like a reflection.
Oh, I thought you meant like in like US Bank Stadium. But
no,
yeah.
No, it's just the purple that they see out of the corner of their
really?
eye that they probably wouldn't even know that they were seeing, Adam. It's probably subconscious.
I didn't see Gary Anderson wish Randy Moss happy Hall of Fame induction last night. I didn't see him on there. I wonder why.
I don't think they let him come to the parties. I think he doesn't get to come back.
That's like the scene from a movie where like everyone's having a good time and then Gary Anderson walks in and everyone's just quiet.
Totally. Gary Anderson, what's that Superbad where Gary Anderson is the guy like making a phone call when the dude walks up. I was like, what are you doing? You can't be at this party.
Oh,
making a phone call on my phone. Yeah. It's Gary Anderson. Oh man, I thought it was cool.
I watched that today, but
Superbad.
It was on TV.
Great.
That's a good movie.
Great film. Great film. Do you want to do a score prediction for the Patriots?
Sure, why not? I think it's gonna be high scoring.
Well, I don't have a pen, so I'm not gonna be able to write it down. Okay,
all right.
I got my phone. Just kidding.
All right.
Just kidding. It's cool. We'll document it, Adam. Even though we like never go back, except today. We went back on I looked today, and we didn't get it right, but I actually did look today. So what, good sir, is your prediction?
Go 36-31.
Whoa. 30.
It's not going to be like high scoring like Chiefs and Rams, but we'll go in the 30s.
That was the highest scoring game in NFL history, right?
No.
Combined score?
Combined score, yeah. No. It wasn't. It was not. It was the first time two teams scored over 50 points.
Oh, right.
It was the highest scoring game on Monday Night Football.
That was what I was thinking.
I am not looking forward to listening to that announcing group for 4 hours in 2 weeks.
Oh man,
I've been already debating like if I'm just going to mute the TV and just watch it down.
I've tried to do that. I cannot watch football games if I'm not like listening to the announcers. It drives me crazy, and I cannot stand that announcing group. And I'm gonna have to just go through it. Oh no, you know what? ESPN 2 has the
Spanish.
Yes, the Spanish, and it's super fun, and I learned a lot. It was hard for me to read what was going on as far as players and stats and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, players I could read, but the rest of it not so much.
Maybe I'll try that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. Well, and you're like, San Diego, so you probably see more.
Oh yeah, like my neighbor.
Speak. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, that's probably good for you on a number of different levels.
Yeah.
Although I am not bilingual, I do enjoy it, and it's a much better option. And it's a much better option than Jason Witten. That's mean for him. It's not his fault that he's not Tony Romo, but it's a bad squad. And also, where did do you remember when Monday Night? Yeah, do you remember when Monday Night Football was like the creme de la creme? It was like the greatest announcers and and now it's like Booger in like a Booger mobile. Come on,
Randy Moss. Watching him on Monday night against the Packers.
Randy Night Football is actually perfect.
Yeah.
That was like a perfect slip that you had just then. That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I should. Ooh, sounds like a shirt.
T-shirt idea.
It's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not what it used to be.
No.
It's just like I don't even like. Like you used to watch those games because of the announcers. Mm-hmm. And now I don't watch them because of the announcers.
Is there any announcing crew that you will flip a game on and stick with just because?
I like Charles Davis. Charles Davis and it's not Tom Brenneman, Kevin Burkhardt.
Yeah. I don't
They
mind
do.
that one.
I think they did the 49ers game
Mm-hmm.
for the Vikings and 49ers.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't mind those guys. Those guys are pretty knowledgeable, and they don't just spread out random like players that aren't even on the team or anything. So
Spielman's tough for me to listen to.
yeah, he knows a lot, but he talks a lot too. And
Boy, it's
the
tough.
guy he's with is an idiot. So
Yeah.
there's
You know
a
who I do really like.
I don't even really
on
like
anymore. Tirico. He was on Sunday Night
Oh,
Football
yeah.
the other
I enjoyed-
night. Yeah,
I enjoyed
he's
that.
my favorite.
he called I watched the Syracuse game a couple weeks ago and they got blown out by
yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yes, God, dang it!
Three-
I meant
go
to
with on
make
it.
fun of you for that for weeks.
They played Notre Dame and they knocked the quarterback out.
Did you see what kind of
The
uniforms
uniforms?
Notre
Yeah.
Dame was wearing? Syracuse had there was like not
Syracuse
a single,
uniforms look good compared to this.
That's what I'm saying. There was not a single like in all of the curses in all of Notre Dame's history, like those were the uniforms that deserved to get beat the most.
Who approved those?
Oh, it's awful. Awful.
Hey.
And then they were all wearing the Yankees jerseys that said Notre Dame
Yeah.
the Yankees font. It's like
I did like the coat. I did like the coat that
Coat's
had the Notre Dame and the Yankees font, whatever.
Speaking of attire,
Syracuse though, good this year.
big season.
9-3.
I've been paying attention to him
Ranked.
because I knew that
Ranked.
you have been paying attention to him for your thing.
Ranked for the first time since 2001.
I know. I heard on national radio they were talking about the Notre Dame Syracuse game, and I was like,
Right?
wow, dude.
Yeah, not just a basketball school.
No, that's exciting. I also saw that they misspelled Boeheim
Yeah,
basketball team, which is
kind of important.
not the place to do that.
Could have
Like,
spelled any.
how do you spell
probably-
Boeheim? Go look
you
at
probably-
the court. It's written
yeah.
on the court.
Probably you spelled that name a couple of times over the
You would
years.
think.
Yeah,
Oh man, maybe here's another conspiracy theory. That's probably Jim Boeheim being
probably
like,
because his
spell
probably
my
'cause
kid's name
son's
wrong,
name.
cut him
Probably
down
because
a
his name is Buddy. That's probably why they spelled it wrong.
Shut up, that is not
Yeah.
his name.
Yeah, it is.
Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah. It's his nickname, but yeah,
Oh,
that's what
okay.
that's what they
God,
that's
I
what
was
they
gonna be
but
like,
that's what
that's
they call him. That's what they
God-given name.
list him in the media guide and stuff.
Buddy Boeheim. I can't even wrap my brain around that. That is amazing. Wow.
Good
And
stuff.
how do you, misspelling it. That's insane. Well, this has been fun. College football, Syracuse. This very, we've covered it all.
I didn't watch any of that 19 overtime game or whatever that played the other night. I was like, Jesus, 7 overtime.
I know, that was the thing that got me was I turned on where I was paying attention on Twitter and I saw it was at 3 and I'm like, it's going to be over. I wound up turning to it to see like the 7th or whatever, like the final possession. It was insane. Absolutely incredible. That was a fun game. I might be falling back in love with college football. The Gophers have been terrible forever. Gophers just won the Axe. They beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's a huge deal.
They're bowl eligible. They won 6 games.
They have. This was their 6th.
There you go.
And bowl eligible is something that we've grown accustomed to here, but it's always the Outback Bowl. It's always, it's always bad.
Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. No, honestly, I think those are the two most recent they've played.
I think they were in San Diego not last year, the year before.
Yeah. So those are not crazy, but I tell you what, that coach, Adam, he looks pretty good.
Yes.
PJ Fleck, he's got a chance. He looks
good
elite.
there for a couple of years before he leaves.
Mm-hmm. Don't say that.
It's the same thing. Same thing for the Syracuse coach.
It's like as easy as making fun of the kickers on a Vikings podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna miss it.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you Sunday because we're gonna do a post game.
Yeah, we'll do it
It's not
Sunday.
late at night for me. It's never been late at night for you, but
Right.
all right. Skull Vikes. See you next week.
Go. Bye.
Peace.